All right, you beautiful people, we are taking a look back at what happened in July 2021. It is August 21 and it is hot. We'll talk about what's going on in the market. We'll talk from a combined point of view, then a residential point of view, and then as you can see here at the bottom, the condo point of view. So combined in the month of July, we actually sold less properties than we did in July 2020. And the reason was July 2020 was when the market, everything, all the lockdowns stopped. And so it got crazy busy. So when we're comparing back to what happened last year, the numbers aren't going to be the same. However, the average price you can see is still up by 17.6%. You can see that at the bottom. Inventory is up by 20%. Of course, we're seeing more and more inventory come back to the market, which is good. It will help us get to more of a balanced place. You can see the difference between July 2021 and June 2021 there at the bottom. We haven't got a lot more inventory versus last month. So it's not like we're picking up a ton of new inventory. We did a big bump in inventory and we haven't had a ton of sales to offset that. You can see the sales there at 1724 versus the inventory that we've got left over. We've got 1.25 months of inventory now. And again, that's because of lower sales. We typically see lower sales in the summertime, so it stands to reason. We're still in a very, very heavy seller's market. We'll be in the seller's market until we get to about 3 months of inventory. But there is a minor shift that we're going through. It looks like we sort of hit a peak in the springtime this year, and we're just doing our typical summer slowdown. The expectation is that things start to pick up again with a bit of an echo wave in the fall. All right, year to date combined, so we sit at a total number of sales of 32.9% more than we saw last year, and the average price has gone up by 27.8%. Okay, when we're comparing to last year, the sales seem much lower this month because the summer is when the post-lockdown sales really ramped up in 2020. 2020, yeah, and we're going to see a bit of a leveling off this year versus last year as we move through the rest of this year, because the second end of 2020 was just bonkers, okay, and the beginning of 2021 was the same sort of thing, and now we're sort of finding back to sort of a level ground. And so we'll see that as we move forward. Month on the residential side. So in July, again, we have less sales, 20% less sales, but the average price went up by 17.1%. The inventory, as you can see here, we do still have more inventory versus the same period last year, and only a slight increase from June 2021 to July 2021. So not a lot of new stuff coming back in the market, but the sales in the sales in July didn't keep up with the sales in June, and that's why we're seeing that the absorption rate, okay, the months of inventory that we have left, we only have 1.22 months. So again, last month in June, we had about a month worth, and now we've got about a month and a quarter. So we're sort of seeing the same thing on the residential side that we saw on the combined side. Year to date, again, we're sitting at 32% more homes sold. That's because the beginning of 2020 versus the beginning of 2021 were almost night and day. And again, the end of 2020 might show us a different story from the end of 2021. So by the end of the year, we might get back to a bit more of a level playing field in terms of number of sales, although I do, as I stated in my El Predicto earlier this year, I do think that we're going to see a really big jump in terms of average price this year. You can see year to date, we're sitting at an average increase of residential properties of 29.8%. All right. House prices are still up year over year. They're actually down by $40,000 month over month. Likely three different factors combined, as you can see here. Slowdown in the summertime, which is typical, although we haven't seen it for the last probably 2 years. We've got increased inventory and this cooling off from we really hit the top of the market probably in April and May this year, and we're sort of just coming down a little bit from there. Okay, if we talk about condos in the month of July, we sold 24% less condos. That's again because simply we sold a ton of everything in 2020. And the average condo price still up by 17.2%. The inventory, you can see there's 22.9% more inventory versus 2020. That was one of the main factors, the inventory being so low, which was driving the price as high as it did. Now it's starting to come up. But you can see here, we're noticing there's not a big bump from June 2021 to July 2021 in terms of amount of inventory. I think the people who wanted to put their house for sale have put their house for sale, and it's not like we're getting a ton more added back into the market, but we're not seeing the number of sales that we had been seeing. And again, that's the same story I've said now on all three slides here. Okay, 1.33 months of inventory. That will, that's still, as I said, that's still a very, very high seller's market. And we're seeing a bit of a change here. I'll get into that in the notes section. We're seeing a bit of a change with the values increasing for the apartment style condos. Okay, so you can see here year to date, we've sold 36% more condos than we sold in 2020. And again, the average price has gone up by 19.7%. But as I say in the notes here, the prices for the condo style apartments versus the two-story apartments might be an indication that these condo style buyers that people want to move downtown, they're valuing living close to the core, as we seem to be nearing the end of COVID. Now, of course, I know it's not the end of the end of COVID. However, I think that the restrictions easing, people getting more and more vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated yet, please do that. It helps out everybody who can't get vaccinated. So if you can get vaccinated and you haven't yet, please do so for the benefit of all of our children as well as the people who aren't able to. But yeah, I think as more people get vaccinated, and if we can do everything we can to do that, then hopefully it will reduce the potential for this Delta variant, and businesses can open back up and we can get back to a bit of a life as normal. Of course, it might not be the end of COVID, but it might be return to some form of normalcy, which I think we're all looking forward to. So if you have any questions, not about COVID, but about the real estate market and what all of this means to you, whether you are deciding to buy or to sell or invest in real estate, as always, please reach out. My phone number is 613-314-3187. And until then, Sty Fire out.